Good morning, my Angela Shows You community. I hope that you are having a wonderful Memorial Day weekend. So the reason why I am here today is to talk a little bit about cruising and the Port of Seattle in particular. So I've done a few videos over the last couple of weeks and I've talked a lot about traveling and cruising. And I wanted to share today something that I hope will really help save somebody a little bit of time and money. So what I have here is a form that we received on our cruise ship a few days before the end of the cruise. And what this is something that is it's unique. You know, I heard about this very briefly one time, kind of via an accident on YouTube before my cruise, and I was really very interested in it, and I didn't find a whole lot of information about it, and it was actually and I don't even know the name of the channel that I was listening to. It was one of those, like, listen to this one next. So I did, and I thought, oh, that would have been nice to know before I booked my airfare back home and before I actually ended up booking a hotel. So my cruise was actually from a Tuesday to a Tuesday. So we were flying Southwest, and I was having a very difficult time finding a flight on Tuesday kind of early in the day. So we cruised on Carnival, and Carnival had recommended that if you were flying back home the day that the cruise ended on Tuesday, that you not get a flight before, I want to say it was 11 o'clock. So of course I was able to find all kinds of flights at 8 o'clock in the morning, 9 o'clock in the morning, 10 o'clock in the morning. And I was very hesitant to book those because the cruise line had recommended, you know, not going too early, because you never know the debarkation process. Sometimes it goes very quickly, sometimes it takes a little while, and it's about a half-hour-ish drive from the cruise terminal to the airport. And of course you want between an hour and a half and 2 hours before you before you're supposed to leave, in order to have time to, you know, get checked in and go through security and all of that. So I will say that, so we ended up flying home on Wednesday morning, and our flight took off at 6 a.m. So we got to the airport at about 4:30. It was very busy. I was shocked I shouldn't have been, because the Seattle airport is a large airport. I guess I'm so used to our tiny little airport where I live that to walk in at 4:30 in the morning and have there be lines everywhere, I was like, oh my goodness. It took us a little over 45 minutes to get through the line. So because of Southwest, you check in 24 hours in advance. So Tuesday morning, it was about 7 o'clock, I checked us into our flight. However, we were checking our luggage, so I still had to you know, go through the line. So when we got to the airport on Wednesday morning, I did go. They've got those self-service kiosks, and I went there and I printed off our boarding tickets and I printed off our luggage tags. And then we still had to drop our luggage off, and of course they want to see your ID and all of that. So that probably saved us a few minutes of not having to wait in line for the full service of getting the luggage tags. But we did still have to wait to drop our luggage off, you know, with the staff, and then make our way to the security line, go through all the security, and then find our terminal and get there and all of that. So I was glad that we had the hour and a half ahead of time to get there. So now backtrack to, I believe that the reason why the cruise tells you their suggested time, that knowing all of that information, right? So if you if you get back into port at 7 a.m. or 8 a.m. or whatever time you're scheduled to get back, if we got back at 7 a.m. but we weren't able to get, say we didn't get off the ship until 8 o'clock, and that's even probably pretty generous. You get to the airport at 8:30, you wouldn't want to fly any earlier than 10:30. So I couldn't find a flight after like 10 o'clock in the morning. So I could have flown out at like 10 o'clock at night, but then I was, you know, I got to thinking, I was like, well, then we have to tote our luggage around with us all day, wherever it is that, you know, where we're going to be. So, you know, that was definitely a consideration. So what I ended up doing was I ended up booking a hotel for Tuesday night, and we flew out on Wednesday morning. Well, it was after I already booked our flight and I got this hotel that was non-refundable, that I learned kind of by mistake about this port valet service. And then we got the form on our cruise a few days ahead of time. So I wanted to share this because if I had known that this was an option, we probably could have done this, saving ourselves $150 for the hotel on Tuesday night, and you know, just the time. We could have been back home on, well, we would have still gotten home on Wednesday, because the flight that I could find was not until much later. So when I heard about this on YouTube at one point, it sounds to me like this is something that a lot of airports don't offer this, but I'm hoping that this becomes maybe a little bit more common of a service, and maybe more airports will start doing this as time goes on, especially if this proves to be a success. So I would be very curious to know in the comment section, have you found an airport that has this valet type service? What airline is it? You know, let me know, let other people who may be watching this know, because this could really be a time saver and a money saver for a lot of people. So what this is there, I'm going to read this directly. So this says, in partnership with the Port of Seattle, Port Valet service is now available on board Carnival Spirit. That was the ship that we were on. However, I would imagine any ship that is leaving out of the Port of Seattle would offer this. I'm sure like the Luminosa also currently is sailing out of this. So their letter probably says, you know, that it's available on the Carnival Luminosa. Hopefully, I'm sure other cruise lines have the same thing. This is a new airline luggage check-in service that expedites your departure to the airport after your cruise vacation. No airline check-in needed at the airport. You will receive your boarding passes on board, and your luggage will be transported free of charge directly from your stateroom to the airport onto your final flight destination. Signing up for the service on board exempts you from overweight airline baggage fees. Okay, all of that is really, really nice, right? You put your luggage out, the cruise terminal, you know, like they have the information, they know they're going to send your luggage right on to the airport, and the airport is going to tag it, put it on your plane, boom, it's all done. This is ideal. So benefits of the Port Valet program. We take care of your flight check-in on board. You receive your boarding passes and luggage tags delivered to your stateroom on the last day of the cruise for all airlines except Southwest. And we were flying on Southwest, but Southwest is not exempt from this. It's just a little bit of a different of a process because they have that whole open seating and that 24-hour check-in process. Due to Southwest airline time restriction of 24 hours, your onboarding passes and luggage tags will be delivered to your stateroom by 7 p.m. on the last day of your cruise. Luggage will be transported directly from your stateroom to the airport and onto your flight. No wait line, no need to wait in line to check in at the airport. No fee for the port valet service. You will be charged airline baggage fees to your onboard account. Please see the reverse of this form for applicable details. International and domestic flights accepted. If flying Delta Airlines, only domestic flights are accepted. No overweight baggage fees, and connecting flights do not have to be on a participating airline as long as it is on the same flight reservation. So then on the reverse side, this is what you would fill out if you were going to take advantage of this program. So they talked about the baggage fees. So there's a section on here. So like, for example, I am a credit card holder with American Airlines, so we don't have to pay for our baggage because it's a benefit of having the American Airlines credit card. So it asks on here if you have a preferred status and what the reason is. And so it says first class, you already prepaid, or if you're a credit card holder, you would put that on there. So then no charge would be assessed to your Sail and Sign account. And then it does list out a little bit of eligible criteria and participating airlines. So participating airlines currently are American Airlines, Alaska Airlines, Delta, domestic only, JetBlue, Southwest Airlines, and United Airlines. Now the caveat on Southwest is your flight can only be between noon and 6 p.m. So I probably wouldn't have been able to take advantage of this anyway because the flight that I found wasn't until 10 o'clock at night. So I probably wouldn't have been able to take advantage of this. However, this would have been nice. This would have been nice to know beforehand. Now, I probably could have also, if I had known that this was an option, knowing that I couldn't find a Southwest return flight until so much later in the day on Tuesday, maybe we would have flown out one way on Southwest and I could have looked for a different airline coming back home, and I didn't do that. I had actually looked for round trip when I was looking, and I had looked at all the airlines you know, that were an option, and I was having kind of a difficult time. Usually, I know they say it's cheaper if you do round trip on the same airline, but I will say that I don't know that that's necessarily the case anymore. Last time I flew, well, last time prior to this that I flew, we actually did fly out a different airline going out to our destination than we did coming back home, because I was able to find better pricing using different airlines for two people doing a one-way trip. So I just wanted to share this information with you because I hope that this helps save somebody maybe a little bit of aggravation and hopefully some money. If you are able to take advantage of this, then you know you can get off the plane. You know, if this would be ideal if you had a flight later in the afternoon, you know, say 3, 4, 5 o'clock, even 6 o'clock. You know, you get off the cruise ship at 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning, and you have all day. Who wants to sit in the airport all day? So maybe you take, you know, you take advantage of either Carnival, or you just grab a taxi and you head into the Seattle area and you spend the day. And maybe, you know, you want to do a little bit of shopping or sightseeing or whatever. You know, you get into the downtown area because, you know, there's so much to do. You could hit up the Space Needle, you could go to the aquarium, you could go to the Pike's Place Market, which was ginormous. I mean, my husband and I went in there. We probably only saw about a third of the market, and somehow, you know, we were weaving in and out, and the next thing we knew, we were actually outside. So rather than turn around and go back in, we just kind of kept heading out and did some other things. But there was tons to do in there, and there was actually a lot of places to eat in there too. So if you wanted to grab lunch, that Pike's Place Market would have been a great opportunity to grab a bite to eat. So I will, though, give a little bit of a warning that we grabbed a taxi, and I think in hindsight, I probably should have looked to see on Uber how much it was going to be to grab an Uber. So because we had the hotel, I actually, when we got off the cruise, I just grabbed a taxi and we went straight to the hotel. We got to the hotel around 9 or 9:30 in the morning, and the receptionist was amazing. I told her, I said, I know we're way early, you know, we can just drop off our luggage, because I knew I had asked prior. I said, you know, I know that you guys offer a luggage hold. And I said, you know, what's nearby here that we could go do to kill some time until check-in? She had a room ready for us. So we actually were able to check in, and we went up to our room, and we were in our room before 10 a.m. And usually check-in isn't until 2 or 3 or even 4 o'clock at some hotels. So it doesn't hurt to ask either, you know, if you're doing that, you know, do you by chance have a room that's available, and just you know, see what they say. You never know. So I started to say, I grabbed a taxi right from the port to our hotel, which was a few miles away from the airport. Now, the hotel that I chose did have a free shuttle service from the hotel to the airport. So our hotel was probably about 5 miles, I think, from the airport. And it was about 16 or 17 miles from the port to our hotel. We stayed at the Four Points. That taxi ride was $75. I almost died. I did not ask beforehand. That's why I say I probably should have looked on Uber to see how much it was going to be, and I didn't ask. And I don't know, I know some standard transports will say this is how much it's going to be. Like when we took a taxi, like right from an airport to a specific destination, it said like a $40 flat rate. I don't know, being, you know, the hotel, if it necessarily had a flat rate like they might have had it had we just been going from the cruise terminal to the airport. But yeah, it was $75 for the ride. It wasn't even 20 miles. So heads up. And that also makes, I know people talk about Carnival in particular, and I had looked at, and my brother and sister-in-law actually took advantage because their flight was earlier. They flew on a different airline, and they had a different flight. They had a much earlier flight. I think they were at 11 or noon, and they took advantage of Carnival's port transport, which was $32 a person. And that took them right from the port of Seattle right to the Seattle airport. So $32 a person, you know, you're about breaking even, I guess, with the, you know, with a taxi. So, but I know people complain, oh, you know, the price, blah, blah, blah. But, you know, I guess in hindsight, yeah, ours was $75, but theirs being $32 a person, it really works out to be about the same anyway. Now, that also is going to depend how many people are you traveling with. But if you're taking a regular taxi, you're only going to fit 3 people uncomfortably in the back seat of a car, where the Carnival transport was on a bus. So you do have, you know, a little bit of space in between the people that you're traveling with. So just a few things to consider. I do hope that this port information is helpful to you. I feel like it's not widely advertised, and I feel like that's probably partially because this is a new program, and I do hope that more airlines take advantage of a service like this. And I definitely now will know for next time we cruise and we are flying to our destination, this is something that I want to look to see before I book my flight and or hotel, depending on the flight times and whether or not they're convenient, because this is definitely potentially a game changer. So please, I hope that you will find value in this episode and give me a big thumbs up. And please subscribe to Angela Shows You if you haven't already, so that you don't miss out on any future content. I will actually see if I can find a link to this. Hopefully I will be able to attach a link in the comment section below so that you can read up a little bit more about this and find all the benefits that this program has to offer. Thank you. Have a good day.